Tara here, nice of you to join me, and a very warm welcome to my channel. It's lovely to have you here with me today, and we are going to be doing the recipe book 2 in this video. If you want to see the first recipe book, head up to that link up there and that will take you to the recipe book 1. So recipe book 2. If you download and print out the PDF cutting guide which accompanies this video, you would be able to then follow along as I'm cutting out my pieces. All I ask is that please don't print out loads of copies and then pass them off or sell them as your own. I have worked really hard on the PDF. You can do, however, is sell your made up projects from my tutorials. So for the cutting guide, so we're going to start with the front and back covers. So you need to cut one of each of these, and it is 8.5 by 5.5 and 8.5 by 7.5. We're going to do our score lines as we go along. So using the bigger piece, so the 8.5 by 7.5, you're going to score along one of the long sides at 1/2, and then you're also going to score on this line on this side at 2. Okay, so that creates the glue tab and the spine for our book, as you can see. So that is our covers. Now I'm going to just put them into my project box here. This is invaluable. It is such a fantastic idea. I'm using it to put, when I've cut out all my elements for the different pages and different stages of my book, I'm putting them into my dividers so that when you come to put it all together, you've got each part within its own little folder system. It just makes it so much easier than having loads of different pieces of paper all over the place. Very, very good. So these will be coming to the website very soon. So now we're going to do the hinges. Now we've got hinge 1, hinge 2, and we've got hinge 3 on this. Now I'm just going to use loads of my offcuts that I have because I'm trying to save my paper. So if you've got your offcuts, then please do use those. So hinge 1 is 8 inches by 3 inches, like so. And then we're going to do our score line. So we're going to score at 1/2 and then at 1. Then we're going to turn it round 180 degrees, score it at 1/2 again, and then again at 1. There we go. So that's our hinge number 1. Hinge 2 is 1 inch by 8 inches. So again, just using some scrap. 8 inches by 1. And this is just going to be scored in half at 1/2 inch. Okay, so that's hinge 2. Then hinge 3 is 7 and... No, it's not 7. It is 7/8 by 8 again. And you're going to score this one at 3/8. 3/8 is there. Oh, I nearly cut it. There we go. So that's my 3/8. So that's my hinges. So I'm going to put the hinges and everything in my little file folder with the front cover. So moving down on our PDF, we've got the inside, front and back covers. Now this, we're going to do the flap. Now we need to do 2 each of these, so you will need you see a bit more paper, so bear with me while I open another packet. So I'm going to put 2 pieces together and cut it at the same time. So we've got 8.5 by 5.5, and I'm going to do the score lines as we go through. So we're going to score along the short side at 1/2 inch, and then we're actually going to then score it at the bottom here. So we're just going to come up at 2 inches, like so. So one short side has got 1/2 inch, and one short side has got your 2 inch. It's going to become a pocket. Now we did this in recipe book 1. As I said, some of these books have the same pages in. It's like the little repetition. I wanted to keep some things the same and then just change other things. So that's our second one. So that's for our back page. Again, it's just going in my little folder here. Next we're going to do the bottom pocket. Again, just check in your scrap pile and see if you can cut a few of these out. So them 2 go together. So I'm going to cut 2 again at the same time. So your bottom pocket is going to measure 2 3/4. I'm going to throw those bits away. 2 3/4 by 5.5. Okay. And this is going to be scored on one of the long edges at 1/2 inch. That's 1. And 2. So that's our bottom pocket. So the next on our list is the second pocket, which goes on the flap as well, and this is at 2.5. Sorry, 2.5 by 5.5. Let's try this 2.5 by 5.5. Here's four lines on this one, and I'm going to do 5.5 by 5.5. So that then is some of the elements. So now we've got the tags. So the tags, we're going to cut 1 first of all, and that is 7 inches by 5.25. So I'm putting my page this way, so by 5.25. And then the next one is 5 by 5 3/8. So let's do the next one, 5.5. 5.5 by 5.25. So that's 2, and then one more, which I'm going to have to use another. I'm going to use one more piece of paper, and this is 5 by 5 3/8. So I'm going to do 5 and 5 again. 5 3/8. That's 1 and 5 3/8. That's 2. So that's our page, our inside, front and back covers. So coming on to pages 1. So I'm going to just move that bit out of the way. Pages 1. So we've got part A and part B, and they are going to measure 4¼ by 8. So I'm doing part A first. No, I'm actually going to do part B at 9. So cut your 9 by 4¾ Oh, I thought I might have been able to have saved it, but I can't. So that is part B, and I'm going to just do my score lines at 1/2 inch on both short sides, like so. So that's going to go in my page 1 pile. And then coming to do part A at 8 inches by 4¾ So that's my part A. So now we need a pocket flap. Now the pocket flap is 8¾ by 7⅕. 8¾ by 7⅕. And we're going to score this one along the short side at 3 7/8. Okay, don't worry, you will have a long side and a short side, so don't worry about that. That's just what it's meant to be. So for page 2, we are going to do part A and part B. Now I'm again just using the scraps that I've got lying about. So I'm going to cut this down to 3 7/8. So let me do the 3 7/8 by 3½. So that's 1. So you need to do 2 of those. I think I've got one here. Yep, so I've got 2. And then the next one is 4 7/8 by 3½. Like so. So with this, we're going to score along the 2 short sides and 1 long side, and that's at 1/2 inch. Okay, and then this should then fit in there, but then the part A, you need to score that on the long side or down the long side at 1/2 inch. And then the other one, because you need to print 2 of these off, so it'll be 3½ by 4 7/8. And again, just score on 2 of the short sides and 1 of the long sides. Like so, and then stick that in your compartment 2. So now we need to do the tall booklets. Now I will need to use another sheet of paper for this, and this is going to be 8½. So I might as well oh, I might get them out of one. So 8½ by 3 7/8. So that's 1 booklet, and I'll get them 2 out of 1 sheet, and then 2 7/8 again. And then we're going to score these in the middle, and these score at 4¼ inches. So that's 1, and then the next one 4¼ and then that's 2. So that's page 2 done. So moving on to page 3. Page 3 is just one page on its own. So that's 8 by 5¼ . That's my page 3, and then page 4, it is part A and part B, so it will be 8 inches by 8¼ , sorry, 8 inches by 5¼ . So let's go with, is that 8 inches by 5¼ , like so. So that's 1, and then the part B is 9 by 7¾ . Like so. I don't think that's right. No. This one is 9 by 5¼ . How did I get 7 and that's something different? Oh, I might as well do that for this. So this is the pull-out flap. So it's 9 by 7¾ , and we're going to score this along at 4⅛. So that's the pull-out flap. So part B is what I should have done previously, is 9 by 5¼ . And then these are going to be scored at 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. So I've done them on both short sides, and that goes into my page 4. So that is all our pieces all cut out. So we've done really, really well. So I'm going to put all my scraps. I need to find a little pot to put them in actually. I might put them in the back of my project book box, just in case, so I've got some spare if I need to do tags or something like that. But using all your scrap card just for the little bit does really save on your cardstock. And with things getting more and more expensive, we have to save where we can. So putting our book together. So we need the front cover, your back cover and your hinges. So with that, we did our folds. So we're going to take the 2 rectangle pieces. Now we're going to put our glue on this glue tab. Let me just move over just a tiny bit. I need to put a little dot on the... There we go. So we're going to put my glue on this 1-inch glue tab. Now you need quite a bit of glue. Now you can use double-sided tape as well as glue if you want to. I've done that before. It's just that I had my glue to hand. Hopefully it will start to, there we go, get rid of that blockage. So using your 2 pieces, you're going to position your top piece just so that it's level. Hold it and just butt it up to that scored edge that you have with that glue tab is. And then just smooth that down. Just keep smoothing. The more you smooth, the smoother your glue tab will adhere, and you won't end up with any creases or bumps. Okay, like so. So that is then your front and back cover. So this is the outside edge of your book. So it's like your skin that's going to wrap around everything. Now I'm going to place a B because I want my glue tab to be on the back side, and an F because I want that to be on my front. Now I've just put an arrow so that I know that that is the top. So you're still using your ruler and your glue. We need to just do a score, just a 1/4 inch score line, not all the, sorry, not a score line, a pencil line. Now it's very hard even for me to see this. So I'm just going to draw 2 lines just down the side. So it's going to be, my measurement is a 1/4 inch. Okay. And that's just a guide, just so that I know where to put my hinges. Now this is from the top, it's about an 1/8 of an inch, but it's a little bit more. It's probably near enough a 3/4, but sorry, not 3/4, 3/8. But as long as you get them in between those 2 measurements, you should be fine. So bringing in then your hinge number 1, which is the one with the extendable hinge. So I'm just folding them over so that they're all ready for us to put in. Now on this one, I've kept my extendable hinge on the front here, and then on the back I haven't got it. Okay, again, that's up to you. If you want to keep your extendable hinge on the back one, you'll need to adjust this measurement for your paper to allow for that extra amount. So you'll have to cut this down 1/2 inch. But I'm going to close my one off. Now, if it doesn't fold all the way, and mine is folding brilliantly, I think. No, could just do with just tiny little bit taken off. So I'm just going to eye it, and I'm just going to cut a smidge off. Now you're not going to see this because it is going to be hidden by our page. Okay, so that way when I fold that backwards and forwards, it's not getting caught on the bottom. Okay, so I'm gonna just glue that down. Okay, I'm gonna add quite a bit of glue on there. Okay. This also adds to the strength as well of your hinge. Okay. So that then is the back, and then the front. Just make sure I've got them the right way. So folding these over, I'm just going to have a dry run and just place them in so that I can just gauge whereabouts it's all going. Like so. And then there we go, like so. So I'm sure that should be a 1/4 inch. Yes, it is. It's 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. So lots of glue. Now again, double-sided tape and glue for this so that you've got a little bit of wiggle time. And then let's just get it into place. Now, good thing about using glue is, again, it gives you that bit of wiggle time, so that if you want to move it about, you can. And then when you're happy, just checking that side, really burnish that down. And then while I think about it, I'm just going to rub off those pencil lines. There we go, those ones are covered, so they're fine. So coming on to our hinge 2. Now hinge 2 is the 1-inch hinge, and that is going to go, we're going to butt this one up to that scored line at the bottom of the hinge. Okay, so it's going on the flat bed of your spine, and it's butting up to that hinge there, sorry, that scored line there, like so. And then we're just going to push that in. Now before we get that in, you've got a choice. You can either cut it in half, which is what I'm going to do, and then put your page on, or if you want to, you can just maybe don't do this step and just use another measurement from one of the other pages. But I'm going to cut this down to 4 inches, so it's in half. Okay, like so. And then I'm going to just butt them together. So they go that way. So I'm just going to turn that round like so. And then I'm going to mitre them 2 corners together. Now I'm just going to mitre, and it's going to be a very, very so when you then put them together, they're going to make a V, okay, and that V is just that mitre. You're going to leave this edge as a straight edge, okay. So we're going to put these into our book, and again, you can have it at the back if you want, but I'm going to have mine, so mine is my second page. So glue onto the side that has got the 2 straight edges on it, like so. Make sure the V is in the middle. Okay, just fold the hinge over that you've already got there. That way you know that you're not going to stick it too far, and then your hinge won't open and close. Okay, use that more as like a little resist. So then the second one can go in. Again, put our glue on, and I'm going to just butt it up to the part that we've got. Again, just bring it down like so, and then that's our split hinge there. Just move that up a bit. I wasn't fully, there we are. So that's then the split hinge there. So bringing in your last hinge, so hinge number 3, and what we're going to do is we are going to use the 3/8 of an inch side. That's what's going to go on down onto the base of our spine. But you've got a choice, so you can either have it where you've got the small gap in between, like so, or you can have it with you've got the small gap towards the back. Now I think I had mine towards in the middle in the other book, so I'm going to change it up a little bit and have the little slightly smaller gap towards the back, I think. No, I'm going to do it the same way. I'm going to have my gap in the middle, like so. Okay, so it's just a 1/8 of an inch gap. So put your glue onto the shortest glue tab, and then we can stick that down. Again, just use that scored line from the last hinge just to as a guide. Okay, so that you don't go over it and it will close. There we are. Just smoothing that down, making sure we've got that nice gap in between. There we are. So then that's your hinges on. So it's plain sailing from here. So what I'm going to do with the outer hinges, so the extendable hinge and the hinge that we doubled over, we just need to mitre those corners. Now we're going to mitre them from the scored edge on the extendable hinge, so just down to that, and then we're going to mitre them all the way from the bottom upwards, okay, like so. So that's the hinges done. So we've mitered the two outer hinges corners off there. Now the other thing that I'm going to do is round my corners when I can find what I've done with my corner rounder. And I'm going to do the 1/4 inch round. There we go. So that's those done. So that's our book getting there. So we need it now so that we can finish, we can do our covers. Now we're going to do the inside, front and back covers. Get that round the right way tomorrow. So bringing in your little elements for that, I'm going to just sort them out. So I've got one booklet for my back, and did I have a booklet? I don't think I had a booklet in that. I'll leave that there for a minute. Right, so we want a flap and a flap, a pocket and a pocket, second pocket, and 1, 2, 3 tags, and 1, 2, 3 tags. So the booklet was a escapee. It was a stowaway. So I'm just going to put my back ones in here for the moment and work on my front. Now you can do this either by putting your pieces in and then doing this bit, but I'm going to have them out. So I'm going to round all my corners of my pocket. So it's the two nearest the score line and the two at the top of the pocket, like so. And then because I'm doing the front, I'm going to round the left hand corner but leave the right hand as your angle. Okay, so that when we put it on, the round edge is going to marry up with your cover. So now I need my really mucky scissors. Let's use these ones. So I'm just going to take off about 1.5 inches, and that's just going to go on the side of my pocket. Okay, do the same with the other side. Okay, and push that down, and then you know what I forgot to do, so good job I haven't got it in, not that it matters, but what I haven't done is in my pockets I usually put a little bit of double-sided tape, because if you look down there you can see this bows. Now if I put something in it, say for instance, it's just going to fall out. But by the miracle of double-sided tape, it does stop it. So I'm just going to grab a tiny bit and just put it down as near to that scored edge as you possibly can. Now you probably won't have put yours together yet, so you would hopefully be able to do it a little bit more precise than me. But I'll remember on the next ones. So we take that out, and just all you do is just flatten it down, and can you see how that brings the pocket into the page? So now if we put something in there, it is going to stay in there and not come out. It's quite a clever idea. But I am going to just take this foundation tape off and just redo that. Like so. Okay. There we are. So I'm going to put the top pocket on now as well. Now you've got a choice. You can either have this as a small pocket if you want to. You'll just have to add a 1/2 inch glue tab on the bottom. But I'm going to have it so my pocket is butting up to my pocket on my flap. And that way it looks a bit like a credit card type slot. So it's quite a fun way just to add a little bit of interest to your book. I'll just take off a little bit more of the foundation tape, and I'm going to put it on the top there, and then I'm going to just tap it down and get it into place like so, and then push it over. Okay, and then you can do the same with the other side. Okay, make sure you've got that nice and flat, and then just add your tape, push it round, and then you've got another pocket there that you can use this pocket as well, but it just gives you a bit more interest to your pages. So I'm going to add my glue to the mountain side fold of our glue tab. Again, quite a bit of glue on there, as you can see, it's quite a bit. And then I'm going to slide this into place. Okay, like so. And I'll probably have to keep this held down for a little while because I'm very, very, very near that scored line. So that's then the flap. So again, I'm going to round my corners of my top of my pocket and then the left hand bottom corner like so. I think it's getting a bit blunt. So again, glue on the mountain side fold, and just going to line it up with the bottom of our book and then the side. Okay. Just burnish that down using a foundation tape. I'm going to just put that on like so, and then bring it round. Okay, and then do the same for the side near where the hinge is. Now this is just going to have to go onto the hinge and just sit on that. Again, once you've pattern papered it, you're not going to see that I've just ripped my page. You're not going to see the foundation tape. There we go. Like so. Push that in. Now I'm not going to, I didn't do the double-sided tape hack for the bottom here because that's going to be quite tight anyway, I think, with that. So that's staying in there, it's not coming out. it will if you kind of tap it like that, but I think once we've got all sorts of things in there, it will keep it nice and tight, because you've got another thing that goes in there, and that should be fine. That's my back cover done. Now the only thing I forgot to do was round the corners of the second flap. I forgot to round that, so I've done it on here. I just need to stick this one on, but I'm also going to round the corners of my tags as well. So I'm going to do that quickly now, and then we can stick that in, and then we can carry on. Okay, one more, or two more. Okay, so you've got one that goes in the top, like so. It does fit, I promise. There we go, the wrong way. Something like that. And then, sorry, this one goes down your pocket, your second pocket. This one goes on the top, and then you've got a large one, and that goes in the pocket at the bottom, like so. And then the same with this side, but I've just got to add my second pocket onto my flap, but I will do that in a moment. So coming on to page 1. Now I'm not actually going to do page 1 first. I'm going to start at the back and do my page 4 first, and then work my way forward. That way then you can get your pages nice and aligned up. So you need your page 4. So I'm just going to grab mine out of my page 4 folder, which is there. Okay, so we've got our fold over photo mat and then our page. Now I'm going to cut a smidge off of part A, and when I say a smidge, it's that much, so it's about 1/8 of an inch, because I like to have my glue tabs on the outside rather than on the inside. If you like to have your glue tabs on the inside, I would then suggest you don't cut it. So I'm going to put my glue on one side, so this goes on the mountain fold side of your glue tab. Bringing in your page, I'm going to tap it down so that it's level and lined with the bottom, and then just ease that glue tab over, and then how quick was that to stick down. So do exactly the same on the opposite side, but I'm just going to turn this round so that I can get a better grip. So I'm going to push all the air out and then just ease that over like so, and that's your page done. So putting it onto your hinge is a doddle. I'm going to have it where my glue tabs are facing the back, and because we've cut the hinges down with that mitre, they fit just perfectly. So the next thing is I'm just going to round the 2 outer corners of my page, just so that they then match the outer corners of my cover. And we're going to put our glue just onto the very edge of our hinge here. Okay, I'm putting it on both sides of the hinge because our page is going to sit over it, and I'm also going to put it inside the page and just run it through so that you transfer that glue, and then you just slot it over, and hopefully if you've got your hinges straight you'll have nice straight pages. And mine's not looking too bad. So once I'm happy I can burnish that down. Okay, turn it over and do the other side like so. So that's then our page 4. Now I will also round the corners of my pull-out flap as well. There we go. And I wanted to round that corner. There we go. And then that can go, so the shortest edge goes into your page, and then the long piece is on the outside. So that then is page 4. Now the other thing you can add if you want to, you can add your belly band to this. I'm not going to have a belly band on this one, I'm just going to let it all hang out, but I will do on my front page. So we've done page 4, sorry, yes, so now we need to do page 3. Now page 3 is probably the quickest page ever, because all it is one sheet of cardstock that is going to go onto our hinge like so. Now you can add, if you want to, you can add a flip, a flap, a pocket on here. I may add a pocket as when we come to decorate it, but for the time being I'm just going to have that page. So again, glue onto the hinge, but I'm only putting glue on the front side because I want all my workings out to be on the side B. Okay, so bring that down, and then when you're happy it's in the right place, just give it a burnish like so. Okay, so that's page 3. So pages 4, sorry, page 2, because we're working backwards. Page 2 is the one that's got all those funny little pieces. Get them out, don't lose them. Okay, I'll move that out of the way for a moment. I don't know what that is. So you've got your 2 booklets, and then you've got 2 big pieces, and you should have 2 small pieces as well. Is that just not translated in there? Okay, we will find that. Let me cut another one. There we go. So I've got my page 2, so it's part A, so it's the small one, so it's 3 7/8 by 3.5, and it's scrawled along the short. There we are, just did a quick one. So you've got then your components. So we're going to start with the longest component, the one that's got the 3 score lines on, and you're going to just cut away that square where the 2 score lines meet. You're going to cut away the square, and you're going to do that on both sides like so. And then very, very gently, just a slither off just to mitre that corner, like so. Okay. And then what you can do if you want to, I'm going to just mitre this bit because that is not sitting in there properly. So I'm just going to mitre that top one as well, like so. And then that should sit nicely together. Yes. Now what you can do is also mitre the top glue tabs as well. Okay, so that they will sit nice and flush inside. So this is the piece that goes in between. Again, you may have to just take a smidge off. It might not be a lot, but I think I'm actually, no, I do. Again, I'm just going to take a tiny bit off, and that then should sit nicely in there. Now I am going to line it up with the top edge rather than lining up the two glue tabs at the bottom. Okay, so just push that over. So glue on the valley fold sides, and again just tap them down, make sure that they are nice and level and aligned, and then burnish that glue over like so, and again burnish that over there like so. And then that is a little tiny pocket, and this is going to go onto one of your hinges, and you're going to just put it in the middle like that. Now these little flappy bits here, they become our extended hinge. Okay, and you're going to put glue on both sides of those on the valley fold side, and then line them up and push it down. Okay, like so. Push that in. Now what you could do as well, if you wanted to, is you could cut a nice border or punch a border out of that, which would look very nice as well. There we go. Fold it back so it folds. So you've got like an extendable hinge on that, like so. And then we've got then just to do the next one, like so. So bring this one in and just do exactly the same. Fold them over and cut off that square and the square, and just mitre, just very gently mitre those corners and the top ones too. There we are. And then this is going to fit in here. Now what you could do, I suppose, is maybe line up them those score lines at the bottom. Maybe that is where I went wrong. So it's funny how sometimes you can put books together, and I've done this particular one a few times now, and this is the only time where it's actually caused me any problems. So I'm actually putting glue, I shouldn't have done that on both sides. Okay, when you're happy, just manoeuvre that over. And again on the other side. Okay, and then they should be right. Just add a bit of glue in that little bit there. Okay. And then we can see if that goes perfectly in there. Now what I forgot also to do was just to round these corners on these little tag holders, but luckily they're not too small, so we can round them. They're not too small, so I can round the corners as they are, like so. Okay, then we can stick it on. Remember, I'm putting the glue tab pieces to the back, and I'm going to put my glue on my extended hinge on my tag holder. But again, don't push it right down. And that's it, so that you've got a bit of movement in there. Like so. There we are. See, that one went in a lot better. There we are. Taking your booklet, you need to round all the corners of that one. So that's the top two and the bottom two as well. And then it will fit snugly into your tag holder. Okay, the last page now, which is our page 1. So go ahead and grab all your page 1 bits. And this isn't too bad a one to do either. So I grab, should have an extra piece in there. There we go. And again, I'm just going to cut a tiny bit off of that side, like so. And then that will be able to sit in there nicely. It won't be as snug. Bit of breathing room. So I'll just tap on the desk to get them in line, and then just burnish that down. Turn it over and do the same on this side. And push the air out and then burnish that down. And that's your page. So we did most of the corners, didn't we? We did. So this is just going to fit over that extra ½ an inch, leaving that part of your hinge free. So again, we're going to glue on this top hinge, but not the way all the way down to the scored line. So just push that over, bring that in, and then make sure your glue tabs are all at the back, and then just feed that in. Line it up with the bottom here to make sure that your page is all in line, and they are. There we go. So that's your next page, and then this is your photo mat flap. I'm just going to round all them corners on that, and round the corners on my page. I forgot to do that. So just stick this on this side. And then the shortest edge goes in first, and then your page, your hinge, your flap goes over it. Now this one is a bit different because this one I've made it so that it covers the whole page. This one just leaves a little bit on show. So down to the belly band now. So for the belly band, we're going to just put the longest part of the two pieces that we've got, and try and just by eye it and get it even either side. I'm just going to run my nail just along the side of the page and onto the belly band. I'm just going to fold that over, fold that one over, and then I'm just going to mark just a tiny bit, just with my finger, just so that you've marked where you need to next put your next lines. So I now know that I need to put my 1/8 of an inch gusset line this side. I always forget which side they go. So I'm going to just go down on here and just put it there and then put it in. Now if you want to, you can just reaffirm that other scored line that you did, but it's actually not too bad a line. And then just bring that down. There we go. And then that's your 1/8 of an inch gusset. Now, I don't know where my other piece went, so I'm just going to cut another piece. So this was 2 by 7. And then this is going to go on the back, just to join them up. So let me move this out of the way for a minute. I'm going to just place it onto my belly band and just get it again just by eye, and then a little line either end so that I know not to go past that penciled line with my glue. Okay. And then you put the one on, and then the next one. So that then is your belly band, and you should have enough space for some expanding room. So again, I'm going to put that back bit towards the back. And there we go, so you've got some room to expand on that. So that's then our book all done and made up. What I'm going to do now though is I'm going to go through my whole book and write on my measurements for my pattern paper, so that when I come to cut I don't have to keep stopping and starting, and I can just look at the measurements and cut. Okay, I've gone ahead and wrote all my measurements for my pattern paper pieces onto my book, and I've gone and started adding some of my pattern paper pieces to the cardstock. So what I've done is I've added what would be side B of our pages. I've just added the offcuts to those pages. I've just got to add now the photo mat stroke journaling spots underneath, but we can do that shortly. So I've started with my front flap. Now what I haven't done is my tags or inside, because I'm going to see how much paper I've got left, and then once that's done I can then pattern piece in with journaling cardstock and things like that, just to save on a little bit of paper. So we're going to go ahead and start with the front page. Now we can get at least 2 pages out of one sheet of card, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this down to 4 5/8 by 7 7/8. 4 5/8. 7 7/8. And you need to round the outside corners, so just the 2 outside corners of your page. So that would be on your right hand side. And I'm just going to add our grey pen, and then we can stick this down. So that's on like so, and then we can fold over, and now we've got this side here. So I'm going to cut my pattern paper so that the orientation is facing the same as the book. So I'm cutting my paper, so I'm putting it in so that I'm doing the longest measurement first, which in my case is the 3 3/4, and now I'm then cutting down the 2 7/8. So that's there, and I might get the next one as well by 2 7/8. That one goes on there. First of all, let me just round my corners. And then I'm going to use the other side for the booklet. So I'm just going to go down to 1 1/8. I think that is. I might move that up a bit and do 1 3/4, 1 3/8 on either side. Push that down. So that then is the start of our page. Now I will add some pattern paper to our hinges here as well, just to hide those, but I like that how that's, you can pull this bit out and this will have a different colour on as well, and the same on this side, like so. So now we move on to page 3. There we go, so that's that one, like so. Okay, so I'm adding the pattern paper for my back page. Right, so I need to get a new sheet, and I'm going to use the milk cans this time. And I'm going to cut my biggest measurement, which is 5 3/8. So you've still got that left. And the first one is 2 1/8. So I'm starting at my bottom measurement by 2 1/8. Let me just double check because I don't know if that's right. I think that might be, I think it is. It needs to be 1 7/8. That's 2. And then another 1 7/8, and then the top part is again 1 7/8. Then that's the back page. So again, the only thing now I've got left, I've got that one left to do here. And then that's the book number 2 nearly finished. So the only thing now to do is the front cover and our green cardstock, which I've got here. There. So I'm going to start at the page 2 and just go down, and so that would be goes in there. So get your pen, and I've got a nice thin one, and I'm just going to go around my page and I'm not going to try and take my pen off of the paper. I'm just going to go around all the way like so. Now if you want to add another one, you can do. Just again, don't follow anything, just try and keep as near to the line as you can. As I say, it doesn't have to be straight. Okay, so that's this one. We can add the glue. That goes on there like that. So the last thing we've got to do is just cover our front cover, and I'm going to pick a different. I'm going to go with this Farm Fresh one. I really like the way that is, and then with this one, when it's sort of lying next to each other, it's going to look quite nice in there. So the front cover we can get out of one sheet of card, so you can get the whole sheet of pattern paper out. We'll do one front cover. So this is 5 3/8 by 5 3/8 by 8 3/8. I'm going to do the 5 3/8 first. Then is 8 3/8. That's my front cover. The spine is, I think, 1 3/8. I'm just checking I've got 1 3/8. There. 8 3/8, and then the back page, I'm just going to do my 3/8. That should then, apart from a tiny little bit, fit. So I'm going to round the 2 outside corners and ink the edge. So I'm going to ink the edge on all of them and then stick them down. So that's one. 2, and then round this would be the left hand 2 corners you would round. Like so. And then you can go ahead and just stick them down. Or that goes on there, like so. Then we've got the spine. It will go on like that. And then we've got the end bit. Now, with this, although I've rounded those corners, I am going to put a little something on the edge there. So what I'll do is I'm going to go this way, and we'll add a tiny border on that side, because it seems a shame to have to cut into an extra piece just for about a ½ an inch. So let me bring that down like so, and then what I'll do is find some offcuts. Again, we've got loads. Look at that, that one is virtually made for it. So around those 2 corners, like so, and then they can just sit on there, and then I'll put a border on. So that would be 5/8. So just add that on there. You could have made this into a little tuck spot if you wanted, but I've put my glue all the way around it now. So I'm just going to add my nice border, but luckily this is going to go all the way up to the top, so it will just look like it is part of the background. Okay, so like so, pushing that in, that coming out, there we are. And then add a border just on there like so, and then that hides that we didn't have enough paper on there. But you could add something else on the back there if you wanted. So as for the front, we can maybe have a, let's go with, what's that? I'm going to go with 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. So that could go at the front, so you could have that as a bit of an angle. And maybe have that. So 3 3/4, so this would be 3 5/8 by 4 5/8. I'll go this way. Like so. Does that fit in there? And that will fit just in there like so. We just want it as a background piece, and then we can add a tag that comes, so we can put this down and add a tag in there, which will be quite nice. Okay, around these corners. Okay, I've just got some lace, so add a little bit of lace on there. That looks pretty nice. Take these off, and then we can just stick one side on and then turn that round across like so, and then I'm going to add a lot of glue just around this edge here. There we go, and we can just stick that on then to our backing card, and then that can just go on there like so. Now I'm going to add it down here, so I'm going to just add the glue just around the very edges, and then I will give this a chance to set before I start pulling and poking it to put a tag in. I'm going to have this one. Yes, that one looks better. So I need to just get some little brads. There we go. That shouldn't take too long to heat up. Let's just get some paper or some cardstock just to make a little tag. It's going to go in there. Cut it down there. So I've not measured anything. I'm just going on what page and what size I've got. So that would go quite nice in there. You could have actually a couple of different ones in here so that they kind of like go like that. That'd be quite nice. Let's take that bit off. So you could have them like sort of like that. That looks quite nice. So I did have a nice tag punch, and I'll round the bottom of those corners. Like so. So there's a quick tag. I will put a hole in, but again I'm not going to add any paper to these just yet, although I have got some offcuts here that I could use just to add a little bit of interest. So that's up to there. Okay, as I say, I'm just by eyeing it now with these, just to get it done. And that goes in there just fine. And then you can add something this side. Ink the edges. Maybe some white, not white because I'm not using white, some cream card. Or you can pat and piece the other side. Actually, you could do that. So what I could do is just round all the corners. Like so. Put that on. Like so. And find out what this is, which would actually fit that. That actually needs to come down a little bit. There we are. And then, does that fit? It's a bit tight, but it fits on there. I shouldn't do that side. That side's a little better, I think. So let's go with the top of that. There we are. Ink around my edges. And then add the glue. Like so. And then that can just go in there like that, and then you've got a nice tag. So this should be now heated up. So yes, so I'm just going to place my glue all the way over this like that, and then place that in the middle. And then you could add some little pearls on here as well, just to bling it up a little bit. But I'm going to stop there for this video. So that is then the second recipe book done. We've worked really hard. So thanks ever so much for watching. It really does mean the world to me, and thank you for supporting my channel. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And if you can hit that notification bell as well, that's just a win-win for you, because that means that anytime I upload new content, you will be the very first to know about it. Don't forget to come and follow me on all the social medias. I have all my links are in the description box down below. And I also have a Facebook group called Memories, Papers, Art, which is a lovely group, friendly craft group where you can come and share your projects. Apart from, please do subscribe. So thank you for watching. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing today, please have the most amazing day, and I will see you again on the next one. Bye. Oh, don't forget to come and have a look at what projects I've got in the shop. Bye.